All right, so we have a number 3 for the pistol shot. This one is uber important, maybe the most important and informative video that I've done ever. Now, contrary to the fact that this is a pistol shot month, it does not mean that that this is for advanced people at all. It's actually the opposite, okay? Because in order to perform a pistol squat, that means you have to have all of the basics down. This is why this is for everyone. So we're going to use the air squats today as for 3 purposes. One is if you have no problems doing the air squat correctly, we're going to use that as your exercise, okay? We want to be able to perform 40 with good form. If you're working on it and you could only do 2 reps at a time, 5 reps at a time, 10 reps at a time, I would probably do, 10 rep segments, but that's with your little pauses that you could get to 40. If you're unable to do the air squat, then you will use this as the method for a quick and dirty check to see which area of the air squat to descend and ascend that you have a pain point with, and then you will note that for yourself so that you can pay special attention to the specialized mobility drills and assessments for those certain areas, okay? Thoracic spine, hip mobility, ankle issues, and balance. So check the prior post that I did on balance, because we're going to also do the air squats barefoot, so you want to have a good setup basis. Then we're also going to use this post as a way to run through all of the different elements of a squat and why we do it. All right, so let's get started. I have a tape here just to mimic like a straight line stick, okay? It may or may not come in handy because that's going to help you track my path, okay, up and down. So I'm going to show you the drill, okay? Watch most of this before you try it. And then depending on what you find for yourself, you may or may not want to use some of the props that I would suggest. If you're able to do like 80% well and you just need a little bit of help to keep going at it, then there are some props that I would suggest. Okay, so first let me show you, and I'm going to show you first from the side because that's very important, and then we'll talk down what it is. So I'm barefoot. I've got actually wider than hip width for me. I am going to turn my toes out just slightly, okay, and then I'm going to have go ahead on these repetitions to have my hands slightly up and ahead and eyes straight down, and I'm going to do a deep squat. Now we'll explain what a deep squat is, okay? Okay, so that's an air squat that doesn't get as deep as I should be able to go, or one should be able to go because of my limitations, all right? A deep squat just means that we're squatting to below parallel, below 90, okay? So here, this would be about 90, right? The 90 is actually where we have the most stress on your knee joints. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you already know that you have a knee pain, if you already know that you've been, you've hurt your hip and you're not supposed to, do this, you're supposed to do other rehab stuff, then yeah, don't do the post. But it's still helpful to listen in on all the components. All right, so let's break down what's going on with the air squat, okay? It's just a basic squat, okay? The point of the arm here is just an easy counterbalance and to give your eyes something to focus on here versus shooting your eyes up. So we're always going to start with the head and the neck, okay? We do not want to have our eyes looking up at the ceiling. Very often when people are down here in a low squat and they're trying to get up, they end up trying to, especially if they got the barbell here, they try to look up at the ceiling because mentally your body's thinking, oh, I'm shooting for up there, okay? As soon as you tilt your head back and you touch your neck vertebrae together, you're going to create a reaction, okay, an automatic response in your body to say, uh-oh, our spine is in trouble, okay? Because your body's main focus is to protect your spine. So your eyes are going to gaze straight ahead. Usually the tip that I give is that the gaze should be about the length of the body in the movement, okay? But with the squat, since our body height is shrinking and lengthening again, instead of moving our eyes up and down and causing perhaps our neck movement, we're just going to gaze pretty much straight ahead, okay? So that gaze is really important. Then you'll notice hip hinge is the very first thing that happens, okay? Just like you would not shoot the knees forward to sit down on the chair, okay? You're gonna shoot the hips back. Once the hips shoot back into that hip hinge, that's when you have to descend that bump down. And with that, that's when you start bending at the knees. And notice the knees are going to travel forward, 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 okay? And at the bottom here is where you have almost no pressure on the knee, okay? It's at this 90 where people usually stop, and then they're also doing weird stuff. That's where you end up with knee problems, okay? So you want to get all the way down to your knee can actually has 150 degrees ability to in that range of motion, not 90, okay? So remember that. Then remember, so as we descend, the ear should go, if you put your focus on my ear, it should go straight down, okay? I might have a little butt wink here, but the path is straight down and straight up, okay? In the same path. So what we don't want is to try to segment, like shoot the butt back and then shoot forward. I know that's exaggerated, but that's something that does happen if you're watching carefully. So from your head to your tailbone, you want to act as if that is one immovable unit, okay, moving together. So your job when you try this is to figure out, don't worry about whether your feet should be outward, how many degrees, or straight forward. That's going to get into our hip mobility and flexibility drills later. So just figure out what feels best for you right now. That's fine. But once you get down, once you do the hip hinge and you get down, what you're looking for is to figure out at which point here you feel either you're going to topple over or you start overarching in the back, okay, or your knees start doing something funny, okay. You're going to figure out at what point you have issues, and then you're going to figure out where you feel you have any restrictions. So if you feel any crunchiness around the ankle, around the hips, okay, if you're rounding forward, okay, that's what you're going to note. Okay, you're going to note which area, thoracic spine, okay. If your lower back arches, that's your thoracic spine issue. Whether you feel, you know, like you're restricted with the hips going down, or whether there's no way you could get the ankle mobility to allow for this knee to shoot forward, okay? Now, just observe here, if the more upright this knee goes, okay, that's when you fall back. And the more upright the knee is, the upper back rounds, okay? The more the knee shoots forward ahead, the more you're going to, and I can't show it because I don't have that ankle flexibility, so I'm going to cheat it and show you this way. So the more the knee comes forward, the straighter your spine could get, okay? We also don't want to find ourselves doing this, okay, where we get down into that hip hinge, okay, and we're basically hovering up here, okay, into this position. We want that chest proud and straight forward, okay? And when we come up, we want to be pressing in through the heels, and you want to note whether your knees are collapsing inward coming up. That's a strength issue. And you also want to note whether your heels are popping off. Not even, it doesn't even have to be popping off contact with the ground, whether you're having a shift at all, okay? It should remain completely flat. So you should push through be able to push through the heels and come up, okay? So that's the air squat. Now, if you're almost there and you want to actually use the air squat as an exercise, a couple of tips depending on, and you could combine these tips as well. If you elevate your heels a little bit, could be a hook, okay? No more than like an inch or two, some sort of rising platform. If you elevate your heel, that will allow you to descend lower into that deeper squat, allow the knees to come forward, okay? And then you would work on it this way, okay? Also, when you come up, squeeze your glutes at the top, fully extend, all right? I shouldn't assume that everyone knows that. Now, if you find that you have a issue with the rounding back, okay, a weight is actually going to help you. So do a goblet squat position. This will give you a heavier counterbalance. Again, you can start combining these, counterbalance, so that as you descend, you have something weighing you down in the front to prevent you from toppling back, okay? So, shoulders are down and back, elbows are shooting straight, you're squeezing through the ribs, and you could hold the kettlebell or the weight, okay, this way. If it's a dumbbell, you would hold it like this, okay? Shoulders back and down, don't scrunch the shoulders. Ever, ever, ever. All right, the other thing that can help you if you find that your knees cave in, which will be your ankle and feet issue, directly affecting your knee, put the band right above, almost on the outside of your knee, so that you have that reaction to push against it, okay? That's also going to help work your strength a little bit more. So you could use the loop band, or you could use, I actually suggest it to doing it both ways. You could use the band that's tied to something low and do one side at a time. So if you were working your left leg, that band would go to the outside of your left knee. Okay, that will cause your left knee to push out against that band and do it one side, because sometimes it's hard for us to work on both sides at the same time. Sometimes one side is more of an issue, so you'll get some one-sided concentrated work, okay? All right, so I don't have time to go through actual drills. The air squat itself is your quick and dirty assessment before we get into specific assessments for the hips especially, okay? And some additional drills probably to help with your ankle mobility, and some, at least one or two for the thoracic spine. So until we get to those specific mobility drills, you'll use this as your quick and dirty checkup to see your squat health and figure out where your pain points or restrictions or limitations are. The biggest takeaway is that your ankle mobility needs to allow for those knees to shoot forward. Otherwise, we cannot get into the deep squat. And why do we need to get into a deep squat? It's because we should be able to. It's the fact that we got chairs in modern society that created all this tight hips, right? But at the very least, you need to pee, right? You need, the sitting down is the top of the squat pattern, right? You need to pick stuff off the floor, and antics in the bedroom, right? So those are just a few of the things that I think about. So the fact that, we're not in this position, in this being able to hang out comfortably in this deep squat, it's not okay. It's not okay not to be able to do that. So it doesn't matter who you are, we're going to work on this, and we will figure out where's your pain point. Maybe it's all up and down. It's okay. We start where we are. All right, give it a go. Oh, I suggest you film yourself. Really film yourself, and put the camera right at the floor and film the back of your heels as well. And if you want to send it to me for me to check out, that's fine.